The turn of the tide, I can see an innate desire. Sword in hand, warriors side by side, I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape, side by side, but that's what this mandates. Be it might, and unlikely allegiance, we will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Glorious death. Our goal, our mission is clear as we ride against a dark empire. By my soul, may the last thing they hear be the roar of this raging fire. Listen, be the savagery mindset. Not today, we'll let loose and find it. Brutal will define our reaction. Rip out the throat of each one in their faction. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find the
Routing Services has a bundle for all budgets. You can be fully protected with emergency response for just $49.99.
What's up, guys? This is Braxcast Live once again. So, hopefully, you guys had a good week. I mean, I know the Super Bowl was last week. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So, if you got that special someone in your life, hopefully it goes well. I've been advised to not talk about my about that because I was having a real mope out session like last week or the week before. So I'm going to get into that. We got Anthony Buck in the chat. I've seen you around a couple of times. Hopefully you're having a good one. But we are going to be talking about Yaira, Frost, and Ruin. So this got dropped a couple days ago. And this is a Yaira book that is not in the mainline series. So this isn't Yaira 4. But this is by Eric July with art by Will Conrad, which is really, really exciting. We don't have any like interiors or any previews for that. Yeah, tomorrow is the lonely man's day for me again. Yeah, it wasn't going to be like there was a couple weeks ago, Anthony, where I thought I had plans. It didn't work out though, but it was weird that like she and I made plans for that day. It just turned out that way, but then it fell through. But I'm not going to say anything more than that. But anyways, I was like this Valentine's Day was going to be the first Valentine's Day I was actually going to spend it with a member of the opposite sex. Not like we were romantically involved, but still, it was like that was not on the bingo card. But then reality like kicked back in, and it was like, yeah, I'm spending Valentine's Day alone once more, which again, most likely, I keep talking about this, but most likely I will be spending every Valentine's Day in perpetuity alone. And I don't really cared about the holiday. And honestly, it's just it is just BS, man. It's nice to not have to like, oh, I got to get flowers and chocolate and all that nonsense and try to like impress somebody. I'll be going on a road trip tomorrow, so I'll be on the road for like 5 hours tomorrow, just listening to some podcasts and just chilling out on that drive, and then it'll be nice where I'm at. Hopefully that goes well for me. But anyways, so like I said, this Yaira Frost and Ruin is taking place after Yaira number 3, so it's going to be a situation like an Isom number 3 where Yaira doesn't really have her powers. Of course, she got like a real beatdown in Yaira number 3, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we realized at the end of Yaira number 3. And I do talk about it a bit in my review of Yaira number 3. I'm not even sure if I'm 100% correct on that, but regardless, I've let that stand. I believe the Saskos did watch that, and they didn't correct me or anything like that, so I don't know if I was even right. But anyways, Yaira number 3 is a really intense like story. So the fact that this like takes place like right after it is like going to like expand on that a little bit before we get into Yaira number 4 is really, really exciting. The fact that got Eric July and Carol Brown writing this, and then Will Conrad is doing the art. Really exciting stuff, guys. So we are, of course, let's see. Open image, new tab. Open image, new tab. Open image, new tab. So yeah, we're going to go through all the covers. So again, cover A is by BTG. So I did get one. I could have. I don't think I could have gotten maybe I could have gotten the I Want It All pack based on the store credit. I probably could have, but anyways, I opted to just get the book pack and one CGC, and I probably won't do that for the next pre-order where I'll just get the book pack because like I am already very low. The freaking store credit, man. I got $1,000 worth. And they just give me another $1,000 like when it runs out. So I can keep up with this. Like, my God. But this is by BTG. This is a really nice cover. I believe this is the one I got for a couple obvious reasons, but this one really struck out to me. This is cover B. This is by Deborah Carita. This is like another Neptune shot. I love like the octopus tentacles. I love the frost powers. I love that Deborah got a cover for what am I even say? I love that Deborah got a cover for Yaira Frost reason because she is the artist for the mainline series, so it does make sense that happened. We got the Virgin cover C, and that is by Laura Kings. And this is, foil embossed. It's got a bit more of like an anime style to it. I do really like this one. I like that she's got like the popsicle she's making herself. And of course, that costume is always wonderful. And then this is cover D by Jack Herbert and is colored by Jay Brown, I believe. And I interviewed Jay Brown. I did an interview with him, and that was really, really cool. Absolutely love that. And this is the D cover right here. So these are all the covers, just going through them real quick. Does seem like it's a bit of a slow night, so I might make this a really short live stream. I probably will actually, because I've got, like I said, I've got a road trip, and I want to get to bed early. I still got to hit. I didn't go to the gym today. I want to go like tomorrow at like 3 a.m. or so, and then get home, shower, eat, and then get on the road. Hopefully by like 5 or so. So it's going to be it's going to be a lot, man. So that's why I might just cut this live stream short. You know, but this is basically the news of the week for the Rippaverse is, of course, Yaira, Frost, and Ruin. So 56 pager. This is releasing June 4th. The cutoffs are May 22nd, and that's for the ABC and the Signature Series. Cover D you can get whenever you want. That's, of course, the Jack Herbert cover, which is fantastic. So you'll be able to read it. This is going to be a 56 pager, and this is, $17. We got Zaid Comics in the chat. I know Man with No Strings #1 launched. I definitely need to get in on that. There's so many comics. I'm like so behind. So yeah, I might be making, I don't know, I probably will be making more. So I'll have some room in the budget. I'm just not sure how much room in the budget I want to give to comic. But I probably could. Yeah, because there's like what, a couple Rip Ascend. We can check Rip Ascend. Because I did back Daughter's Revenge. We got Evil A Music. Did the winning Rippaverse Fan Fest. So nice to see you in the chat. So we got Seven Deadly Sinners, which this is a cool one. So this is like an adult only one. I haven't backed this one. It ends on my birthday. My birthday is March 27th. So No Strings, fine. AF, yeah, it is. I reviewed Man with No Strings #0. I really liked it. I mean, I like the idea of like Pinocchio meeting like the Wild West. It's a very interesting concept, and I'm glad that you guys are doing more of it. So I'll definitely be getting that one. I will be reviewing it because you guys actually get the books out to me in a timely manner. Revolutionary concept. But yeah, the seven Deadly Sinners, have to get this, and then Shadow Sentry as well. So I'll probably just do to like reduce the shipping costs, is just order both of these at like the same time. So yeah, and this is actually exciting because I believe Shadow Sentry is by I think it's by Narwhal. If I can, you've got Eric, Nina Tilsky, oh yeah, Mark Polton. Actually, no, it's completely wrong in that one. I thought it was by Narwhal, but no, it's Eric Nianatowski. Mark Polton. So Mark Polton worked on Graveyard Shift, so he did that with John Malin. Narwhal only did a cover. Yeah, okay. So Narwhal did a cover. So, which is still really cool. Let's see. Let's see. Cover B. Oh, cover B is 46. And yeah, no, I'll definitely get this Narwhal cover then. Yeah, I'm 100% because Narwhal cover is at that 46. It's at $46. And then I could get that for like 70. I could back your guys' thing. And then, I got to back Tyrus. So those are like 4 books I got to get caught up on. But yeah, I'll do it after this week because, like I said, I'm going on a road trip. And once like the money for the lodging is like done and dusted, then I'll be like about $100 or so to save for that night. I'm just saying one night. So I'm driving up Saturday. I'll be there all day Saturday. basically in the morning, and then I'll check out, in the morning, um, and then I'll be there for on Sunday for a couple of hours to see consecration, and then I'll leave probably one or so. God willing, I'll get home before 8, and then I'll have Monday off, so I won't be at work on Monday, which is nice. I started a new job, and I had to be like, I have to take the first basically 2 Mondays off. It's so bizarre, but they let me do it. I'm just not getting paid, which honestly, a good thing is that like my cost of living is very high, but I don't have any debt, so like I can afford it in a way. Um, but yeah, I'm not going to be, of course, not going to do that all the time. I want to get back to work, and the job lets me work overtime, and hourly rates higher, and yeah, it's a little. But I don't know. I don't need to talk about my work situation. It's just in that it's just going well. But anyways, guys, yeah, we got Student of God in the chat saying, "Let's go." So we were talking about Yaira Frost and Ruin. I was just going over the Rip Ascend stuff, and I'm like, I'll get caught up on backing the Rip Ascend stuff, and then there's Big Man Comics, and then there's Man with No Strings. So Man with No Strings, honestly, is probably one, since your guys' book is pretty cheap. If Zaid Comics is still in the chat, we can go to Zaid Comics. Merc Lounge, almost forgot about Braxcast, but that's okay. I always say, I always get down on myself. I always say I'm very easy to forget about. That's like one of my like signature things I'll say. If anybody's like know me, this is really good. So we were talking about Yaira, Frost and Ruin a bit earlier. So and I said this is going to be a bit of a shorter live stream. So I went through all the covers. I gave you my basic take on them. And in fact, we've got Yaira, Frost, and Ruin. We can just mention this here is going to be awesome because it's going to take place right after Yaira #3. And she's going to be down and out, outgunned, outmatched, in an unlikely alliance forces Yaira to confront who she really is about the power she's always who she really is without the power she's always relied on. Really, really interesting stuff. Can't really say more than that. So I already filmed the Braxcast 101 where I talk about this. I don't really go into the story that much, but for me, the more interesting thing is the fact that like any creative team can have any character and just like the implications of that. So like who's going to get like someone doing an ISOM story? I mean, you could. I'm sure. I don't think Chuck and Joe are going to do anything other than Alpha Core and Horseman and maybe a Zalen. But like you could get like Jack Herbert and you get Jack Herbert and somebody else doing like a Young Isom series, right? Is cover A the best? I got the CGC for cover A for this one. This is the one by BTG. I really like this one. It's really one, it's well done. Like the background's like very airbrush. Ira's got like the whites for the blue in her eye with no pupil. Of course, like it's risque. It's very sensual. And it also shows off her power because she's got the like ice hands. But I do like this cover, and I got the CGC for this one. I haven't gotten the CGCs for. I didn't get the other ones. I would love to be able to get I Want It All, but I just can't afford it. And like if I was like if I was netting 6 figures, I would very easily be able to probably afford all this. I still probably wouldn't want to because I want to be saving and investing really aggressively. And I still want to do that. Just that like my rent is so much. I was like thinking about moving, but like moving is a hassle, and it's hard to find an apartment that's like significantly cheaper in this area. Like I could go like way up north, but then I'd be too far from where I'm working and where I go to church and such. And it's just like, oh man, because there are places where you can rent in New Hampshire, but like got like rooms for decently cheap, like studio apartments, like up north in the North Country. Have those there. Oh man. Oh man, not like I'm just no man, my mind's on things it shouldn't be. But anyways, I wish you could see the cover better on the website. So I mean, we're seeing the cover right here. So you can basically, if you go on the website, you can just open a new tab and then you can see it decently well. I will show it off when I get this, but that's going to be in June. Yeah, it's going to be in June, man. It'll be warm when I'll go outside and it's not covered in slush. Ugh, man. I am like, I like the snow. I like winter. I'm sick of it. Sick of it at this point. It's just it's overstayed its welcome for me. Um, like me. Anyways, but we'll go back to yeah, because we're going with yeah, the man with no strings. So yeah, so you got the sketch cover, which they like to do sketch covers. Yeah, let's see, retro 70-pound cover, and then I don't know, it'll be either this one or that one. I just can't. Said the same thing this morning about winter as what Evoy is saying. Yeah, like, dude, I went on a freaking sub-zero hike. And I enjoyed it. Other than like where I was like constantly thinking I was going to freeze to death. And I honestly kind of enjoyed that because like I'm genuinely insane. I've lost all my mental faculties a long time ago. So I was like, yeah, it's like yes, freaking alive, man. But it was like in the negatives, yeah. The groundhog saw its shadow though, so 6 more weeks, dude. Yeah, that's such B. I don't care about what Puxatony Phil says, man. I forget that it's Groundhog's Day or Groundhog, whatever it is, man. I don't care about that, not at all. Sure, maybe. Um, but yeah, I mean, this has been a really brutal winter, and I knew it was going to be. Being up north when like in December, it's like December 1st, we got like a foot of snow. And it was like really cold. We had this massive cold snap. Like it was like in the teens, like way up north, it was in the negatives. I was up north the first day of winter. And it was really cold. It was like in the teens. That first day of winter. Um and yeah, we've had some days where it's been like feels like negatives, it's been like in the zeros. It was a bit warmer today. And it seems like it's going to be pretty balmy next week, where it'll be like in the high 30s, low 40s, but it's been like, high 20s to teens. But it seems like February typically is like the worst of the winter, and it seems like we're going to get through it. But yeah, March is going to be really weird, but it'll eventually get warmer at some point. Um, and then it'll be spring, and spring will be nice. Um, and yeah, and spring was the season I moved up here. I moved at the very tail end of spring when I was at um, yeah, Pork Fest, because I came like it's like June 14th, I think. And then the 15th, I was there, whatever day it was. But it was like basically just before summer started. I was there. It was pretty hot. Like it was, whew. But yeah, not like how it was not last year, 24. There were some days where it's like 100 degrees, man. Oh, that was brutal. And it wasn't like that much better last year. But man, like so much has happened. I just want to go back to that week, man, because it was so nice when I was like starting it all. Um and it was like, man, I don't have to work anymore. Well, I knew I was gonna have to go back to work, but it's like, oh, I don't have to work. I'm just gonna like chill out at like the inn. And like, it's like so new and novel. And then all this stuff happened. And I mean, I told you guys about like my personal situation, but all that, like, it all happened at once, man. It was very, very exciting stuff. And now I'm at like where it's like, oh yeah, like I've been paying rent and my utility bills for months now. I've got like, a job. I've gone through so many jobs at this point, but like, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to go to work and I'm gonna have to, do this. And it's like now I'm on my own. I've got no excuse to not like do the crap that I've been telling myself I've been doing, and I'm still not doing it. So uh Work's gonna have you in the background. He is multitasking. Multitask away, my friend. Multitask away. Yeah. Let's see, give me some stone. I'll live down south. Like, yeah, no, trust me, man. You don't freaking want it in some way. Yeah, that new car feel is gone. Yes, exactly. Yeah, new car feel is gone for my car because I did buy it new. Um, and I mean, it still runs like a clock, so that's a good thing. Um, but anyways, yeah, this whole like the whole novelty of it is just it's just gone for me. And in a way that's good because like you're always moving forward, but like everyone wants to go back to the past. Everybody wants to relive their childhood. Everybody wants to relive that perfect moment. But like if first doing it, I mean, part of me wants to like go back to like around this time last year, like slap myself in the face and say, yeah, yeah, you got to do like this, and this instead, um, and it'll work out a lot better. But I mean, honestly, I'm not even sure if that would have been the case. Like, if I could have gone back and like redo the last like 8 months or so, if I would have done it better, because I would have been like, oh, I've been so like paralyzed because there are some decisions that I just made like spur of the moment. There's a lot of things that like just happened, and I know if I went back, I could like avoid like doing things. But anyways, my personal ranting aside, I don't know. At the end, I like how it all worked out, even if it doesn't feel the best because like um you know what do you think about my new Fury? So, oh yes, let's get into it because I actually have the tab open. So here we go. Um, Student of God is saying that he's got a Fury. Based on this conversation and his last statements, he now believes that the Rippaverse massive deal is going to be something involving other countries, maybe Japan. Eric, getting outside your bubble. So we'll watch this entire clip and then I will give my commentary on it.
I'm trying to figure out because we have, for example, all of the European countries, we have a Rippaverse International cheaper option. All the not all the European, but the countries, but the EU, UK, Canada, Australia, we have Rippaverse International, which allows them to take advantage. If it just applies to books, it doesn't apply to merchandise. But if they order from us and they just have books, they get a cheaper option there, and instead of just paying like the regular international rate. So yeah, it's tough, but yeah, most definitely we've considered that because we do have some sizable art, like you know, the first country I probably want to do it in would be Brazil because we have obviously a big connection there with a lot of our artists being out there. So translating it to Portuguese. But again, you got to deal with that physical aspect of it, like getting that shit, there is a different animal. You know, Japan is number one when it comes to comics and mangas. Yeah, worldwide, absolutely, 100%. But again, like they have an advantage over there, those mangakas and all those publishers, because like I said, they don't have to walk through the cultural minefield. It's a perfect. They are sitting pretty. If you are like in the East, you are in a great position because you get to create and have your stuff be adopted by people like in the West, but you don't have to follow those social political rules. Or you don't have to walk that minefield because you're completely detached from it. You live in another country, your politics are completely different. So, but you get to take advantage of America's big time consumer market. So it works. It works extremely well for them. So yeah, it's.
Okay, so Iconic got a Japan deal. So yeah, I mean they do translate and release in Japanese. It's a decently limited thing. Yeah. So I'll look at the other clip where you said something about the world being bigger than you think. So let's watch this one.
Also, I had an NDA. Actually last week. I had an NDA. I have another NDA conversation from that NDA first conversation. That's a follow up. Let's just say that not deals being made, but partnerships being dare I say inked. Let's just say that same thing. I guess tomato. But I have some wonderful news, I think, coming to you guys very soon about some opportunities happening with the Riververse as far as its expansion into making our books even. Let's just say this. I word it like this: making our books even more easily accessible. Let's just say that that's what's going to be happening with some conversations being had. So. And this is a massive one. It's actually a massive deal. That, on a serious note, like, it's huge. Look, this type of stuff happens. It takes time for it to happen. Every deal, partnership that you engage in, it takes time. It takes a lot of time to get to agree on. Make sure this partnership makes sense. The deal makes sense. It's aligned with where both companies and parties want to be and where they're going. And obviously, for me, it's all about ensuring the best for the Rippaverse while maintaining its independence and me being the sole owner of it. As I always say, I turn down more money than I make all the time, just for the sake of keeping this thing independent. But yeah, man, there's some opportunities on the way that are going to come from this conversation that has been had and it's been being had for a while. And I have a follow-up meeting on the other meeting. Let's say this, with this group, let's say this. I had a meeting. This would be my fourth meeting with them. We had an intro meeting. I got some proposals, and we've had a couple of meetings there. We got another, which is a more like, all right, are we doing this or not kind of meeting, happening Thursday. I believe is it Thursday. Sometime this week. I might have got that wrong. Sometime this week, and then we'll get that thing executed, and then we'll have some announcements for you all. But yeah, man, I am very excited about the future of the Rippaverse, man, and I'm thankful that you guys keep supporting us. But this is going to be an insane year for us. Look, man, I've told you guys, I did a video about like what my aspirations are and where I'm trying to go with this company. But man, I cannot reiterate enough. I cannot speak to this enough times. If you are an independent creator and you start seeing traction, I cannot stress enough how vital and important it is so that you understand what's out there, is that you start stepping out of your bubble. I think it is so easy. Look, I just did a video that released this morning. It is so easy these days to create. The barrier of entry is lower than it ever has been. On the other side.
Okay, so there we go. I mean, it's really vague. So I mean, it is possible that Eric is making a deal with like Viz Media or something like that to distribute Rippaverse in Japan. That's where I would think like, are we doing this sort of deal? It could possibly be. I'm not going to say one way or the other. But I will say Rippaverse on Mars, dude's parenting with Elon confirmed. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And we got Garfield in chat who is apologizing for being late. That is perfectly okay. I did start a little bit early, like a couple minutes early, because it was like I was just like, let's just do it. Like I said, I have a road trip. I kind of want to see if my laundry's done. Dryer hasn't been working. It's including my rent. It's in the basement. Maybe it's too cold, but we'll see. Whatever. So I want to get it out, get like the stuff drying, and also I have all these hoodies that I wear, so that's probably one of the reasons. It's just bogging it down. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Yaira Frost and Ruined, talking about Student of God, speculating.
I'm trying to figure out.
Pause that. We don't need that anymore. But anyways, Yaira Frost and Ruin is the big thing I want to focus on. Because like all this like NDA like stuff in the works, it's coming. Um, I don't want to say anything one way or the other because there's not really much to say. But I do think he's going to get more distribution internationally. It's something he's talked about a lot. He always wants there to be like the international customers to be able to get into it more. It just becomes very much a logistical challenge, like to get the physical stuff out there. Yeah, the Chuck Dixon book on Riverstone looks pretty damn interesting. Yeah, the Deadly Sinners, so we can go as we're looking at the Riposen stuff. I want more Gabriels and the Guardians. Because I read the manga, because number 0, I reviewed that. I'm DM, he's going to DM me something. Okay, so let's see. Don't DM me more dating advice. That's what assuming God. It was good advice though, for the most part. But some of it I disagree with. But anyways, I don't need to spill the tea. But anyway, this is Deadly Sinners. This is an interesting one. This is of course like 18 plus, so this is going to be a mature one. I am 100% going to get this one and review it. The campaign ends on my birthday. My birthday is the 27th of March. I'm not sure if I ought to be putting that out there, but it's just like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it's going to release on the 20th of May. But it's cool that like it ends on my birthday. That's like an interesting tidbit. Not that like I don't know. I don't care about my birthday. Like I really haven't. I think my dad was like, you can stop having birthdays when you're like 10 or so, like actual like birthday parties. So we got it until we were like 10 or so, and then we would stop having birthday parties. And then it would just be like, oh, we'll just go out to a restaurant and get some gifts. And now I live alone. Although like this birthday, because I think I'll be getting baptized the day after. So my parents will be there around that time. So they might do something on my birthday, but I don't know. I don't really care about my birthday. Because like I mean I kind of have friends, but like honestly, man, I honestly the shack, finding like some land, building a shack in the woods, and never talking to anybody again. It's really appealing. It is really appealing at this point with just how crazy things are, how antisocial I am. I'm just like so done. But it wouldn't be good for me. Would not be good for me. So let's see. Here we go. So we're I think so. So basically, oh, okay. So here we go. So this is Justin Prokowicz. Sadly, Grind, a pulp biker comic written by Chuck Dixon, inked by Bob Harden. And this is like who the team for the book. So it seemed like it was done for like a while. I mean, these are really good pencils. Like, dude, this is good. This is good work here. So this seemed to be like something that was like in the works for a while. Yeah. So the link is giving us, yeah, like this is a lot of pages from the book, and this is good stuff here. This is like really solid work, and these are pencils. So a lot of this stuff could have changed, but it seems to be pretty complete. These aren't like loose pencils, so these are pretty complete pencils. So. I know we don't like talking about this guy, but like EVS, he pencils and inks his own stuff. But when he pencils, he does it, partially, and then when he inks, he actually completes it. And of course, you've got like penciling and like finishing, where you can do like very loose pencils, and then someone will actually like finish it and then ink it through. But anyways. It just depends on the style. So if you got like a separate penciler who's doing like complete pencil work, and then it gets inked, like this is what it is. And I guess this is Justin Prokowicz who's doing this art, and this is really good stuff here. So this looks pretty complete. So these are complete pencils. So yeah, I mean we can zoom in here for a little bit. But of course, like I don't need to be showing like every single like page zoomed in like that. But just to show this is good stuff. So this is Severely Deadly Sinners. So this is Chuck's good friend apparently. I know Evan Scale does both the art and the coloring for Dirty Deeds. Yeah, that's pretty rare to see. I have seen it, especially like in the indie scene, and I X out of that. So thanks, Student of God, for showing that off. Um, don't necessarily need to be showing like every single page, but it's cool to see those pencils. But yeah, in the indie scene, it happens where you'll have an artist do all of the art, where they'll pencil, ink, and color. And then sometimes they'll even do what like Narwhal is like really famous for this. Well, I say famous for this, but he does his own art like entirely, and he'll even write the book. Like Earthbound is like entirely his own production. Like he writes it, he does the art for it, he draws digitally. So yeah, we got seven deadly sinners. But that's not typically the norm. So typically, when a comic is worked on, you got someone who writes it, someone who pencils it, someone who inks it, someone who colors it, someone who letters it, and then someone who edits it, and then the publisher who publishes it. So you got a lot of hands in the pot, and it can work if the sales are there. It works for the Rippaverse because the Rippaverse is basically like that. They're Evan Scale is the one you mentioned where he's doing that, but typically you'll even have like multiple inkers. Like I think Alpha Core was done by multiple inkers. Let's see, this is a project that just doesn't interest me, so I'll pass. Yeah, that's fine. But like Chuck Dixon's a great writer. We looked at those preview pages, fantastic stuff. So the trailer in the comic has tits. Chuck is not holding back with this comic. So yeah, I won't play the trailer. I haven't watched the trailer, so I'm not going to play it on that basis. I want to try and keep this family friendly. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like the most like liking this risque stuff. It's not like stuff that like I'm the absolute biggest fan of, but hey, I understand it. This kind of stuff sells, and it's called Seven Deadly Sinners. So you're playing into it. Of course, you're going to have lust. You're going to have wrath, lust, greed, pride, sloth, and gluttony. So of course, like if lust is going to be there, they're going to have that. You're going to have the female parts in there, of course. Let's see. So Narwhal is a great guy. His art style isn't my cup of tea, though. Yeah, that's whenever I review Narwhal stuff, I always say that like not everyone is going to like Narwhal's art style, but if you do, then it really works. And for me, it jives with me. Like I personally like it, even though it's like really abstract and weird. But I haven't read Vatican City. I need to read Vatican City for him. So that's one I need to read and review. Because I did 1 and 2, and then 3 came out while I was doing the whole move. So it came out like in June. And I just never got around to getting the 3rd issue because like it was such a limited release that I couldn't like by the time I had gotten to a comic shop, I hadn't gotten it. I'm not even sure if I can get the trade paperback for Vatican City free. So hopefully I can get it and read because I just want to know how it ends. Not even if I review it, I just want to know how it freaking ends because I don't know how it ends. Issue 2 ends on a cliffhanger, and 3rd is supposed to wrap it up, but that is Narwhal at his best. In terms of like he draws Vatican City in a way that like if you don't like his art style, you'll probably like Vatican City. And of course you've got what's his name? I can't Mark something. Mark Miller. Yeah, Mark Miller, Mark Millar, however you say it. Yeah, but Mark Miller. Was the writer on that, and he does a fantastic job in writing that. Yeah, so Evil is agreeing that it is weird talking about Narwhal's art style, but I would recommend Vatican City because it still has some aspects of it, but it very much is like Narwhal basically was like, I can't do the weird stuff. I gotta draw it like an actual comic book. And he does a good job. So he can draw in a way that is like more palatable for the average comic reader. He just chooses not to, and he leans in on that style, and he does a great job at like doing that style. Let's see. I dig it for real though. I dig that it's weird. Yeah, the one cover that he did was fire. So yeah, I mean he does have a cover, and this will come on cover that, like, one, it's cheaper. Oh, I man, I've been I've been over 18 for a while. But yeah, no, he did. But this is for seven deadly sinners. So, oh, you got a $30 one. Yeah, that's what I'll get. The $30 cover C, because I don't need to collect these. I just need to get one copy to review. Only got one viewer in here now. So, anyways, we'll go to Shadow Sentry, because he did a cover for Shadow Sentry. That's what we're talking about. I'm sure that's what Student Guy was talking about. So yeah, it's this cover right here, Shadow Sentry. And this is by Narwhal, and this is a good cover. And like, you see, like, Narwhal can draw, like, something that looks like, oh yeah, this is like something that doesn't have his abstract style. Like I said, he just chooses to draw the way that he draws, like when he does like Earthbound or Foreign Agent, or basically any of like the work that he does. Like, he chooses to draw like that. I got the Narzak books. So there was the Narzak free pack, and I liked all those books. And actually, I backed those books as like my first Comicsgate campaign. Even though like Comicsgate, they weren't really part of Comicsgate like at the time, because Zach had like distanced himself even back then. This was like late 21, December 21 when I backed it, and into 22, because Zach stopped doing live streams. Oh no, the cover from Mark with it. Oh yeah, for Vatican City. Oh yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I know the cover you're talking about. So we can go Vatican City. I think it was number 2. No, I don't know. I don't need the freaking. No, I only need Pope Leo's home. No, man, and I'm like, I'm an ortho bro, so I don't really appreciate. Well, this is Vatican City number 1, and so let's see. This cover, I really like this cover, but this is for the first issue. But if I can find number 2, oh yeah, here we go. Like I said, I knew. Okay, well, that is complete garbage. Let's just, okay. Let's see. Open image in new tab. Let's see if we can zoom. Okay, so that's like really, really poor. But like, that's the cover. If I can find like a higher resolution version, maybe I can. But if I can't, it's mostly just showing me pictures of like the Vatican. So of course. Oh, here we go. We got Leo in St. Peter's Basilica, largest basilica in the world. So of course, like, oh yeah, it's the key. So the whole point of the the Vatican, and honestly, I don't know why we're talking about this. But anyways, whole point of the Vatican is that like it's shaped like a key, because you have Matthew 16. I can recite this from memory, or Jesus asks his apostles, "Who do you think I am?" And his apostles give various answers. Like, some say you're the prophets, or Elijah, or John the Baptist. And Peter says, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And he says, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of heaven, or gates of hell, shall not prevail against it. And I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind in heaven will be loosed on. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in earth. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." So this is like the keys. The whole thing that the Catholics make is that, like, since Peter was given the keys, like, it's the Petrine supremacy. although Matthew 18, that whole power is given to the entire College of the Apostles. You go to Acts 15. Peter is present at what's called the Council of Jerusalem. And James is the bishop of Jerusalem, so he oversees the council, even though Peter is there. So if like what the Catholic Church holds to in terms of its ecclesiology, Peter would have overseen it because he would have been the first pope, and he's the universal head of the church, and everyone has to follow him and his successors. Oh. But anyways, that's me getting on a rant about the Catholic Church. So like, yeah, I mean, I like Vatican City is a cool concept, and I know Mark Miller is a Catholic. So I think that's part of like why it was written, but like for me, I do not care for the Catholic Church. For like a variety of reasons, and that was like the biggest one is the papacy. So the whole Vatican, and like you can talk about all the geopolitical stuff that the Vatican's been up to, but it's just like the ecclesial thing, and then there's a whole bunch of issues after that. But anyways, that's like I don't need to get into like why I didn't become Catholic, because there are again reasons for that. And I mean, I'm certainly not like a Christian. Oh man, I'm so like very despondent over that whole thing, because it's like it's so contrary. Like going to a church and like meeting people and like becoming part of a community is so contradictory to like my entire identity. And that's the big thing. So like that's more the problem than like being in the right church, quote unquote, which I mean that is certainly true, but like that's the bigger stumbling block for me. Not that like like because more of an intellectual thing. But anyways, Yaira Frost and Ruin, 56-page book picking up after Yaira 3, before Yaira number 4, presumably, by Eric July, Carol Brown as writer, as Will Conrad doing the art. Fantastic stuff. We don't have an interior previews for covers. That's part of the whole pre-order. That's the new way they're releasing books, which I honestly really like. And I'm hoping that they get to the point where they just don't do one. My wallet will enjoy not doing CGCs. 2, they can release books even quicker if they're not doing CGCs, and I hope they do. I hope they do that. I'm going for just under an hour. So let's see if there is anything you guys. I mean, I know Sunaga was going to. Oh yeah, I actually already DM'd me because we were covering 70 Deadly Sinners. There's Shadow Century. Casnaro did the cover for that, but he was actually talking about Vatican City, and that's how I got into ranting about Vatican City, which. I mean, that's kind of like an offshoot of me ranting about the Roman Empire, because, it is Roman Catholicism. And then, I mean, I could get into a whole debate that, like, the, like, Roman Christendom is not, like, what Catholic Christendom was, especially, especially when you're talking about, like, the church with Constantine, and then, was it Theodosius, who actually legalized Christianity. That was around 381, but 381 was the first council of Constantinople, and it was like around that time. But you had the whole, like when you had the Roman Empire like unified, and there was one like, and it basically was Christendom, was the Roman Empire, because the entire Roman Empire basically got converted, basically, which started as like a sect of like 12 people worshiping a crucified Jew, and Jews were basically people in the desert that nobody cared about. To basically taking over the entire Roman Empire, which was like 30 million people at the time, in a matter of like probably about 200 years ago. Yeah, a couple of generations. Very, very interesting. Write me a paper on this. I'm interested. You want me to write up? Are you talking about like why? Let's see. write a paper on like why I'm not Catholic. Yeah, I mean, I could. I mean, I could write an article. I mean, maybe after I get baptized, I could write an article on like why I'm not Catholic. And then like I would want to give it to someone in the church. So to like say like, hey, can I publish this? Because like I'd be making like theological arguments. I might do stuff like that after I get baptized, which would be like next month if everything goes according to plan. Um, so let's see. So the big debate right now in the comic space online is what's more important for a comic, great art or great story. It has started a firestorm of opinion. I mean, I think both are important. You can have really good art and a subpar story, and that like detracts from the experience. And then you can also have like really good writing, but if like just a bunch of stick figures, it's not going to matter. Um, so like if you had like the Lord of the Rings adapted as a comic book and I drew it, like it wouldn't matter if it was the best adaptation ever made if it's a crap, if it's crap drawing. So they're both important. But like if one is really good and the other's only average, then one can carry the other. Um, and so I think you want to like have a good one. You want to have like one where like it's strong. So if you have got like really good writing but like average art, that can carry the book. And if you got like average writing but really good art, then that can carry the book as well. But it's not like an either or; it's a both and, in my opinion. Let's see. So, Student of God is saying, had a Mormon this week tell me Jesus gave a false prophecy when I gave an example of Joseph Smith giving a false prophecy. Well, the funny thing with Joseph Smith is that he adds himself in the end of Genesis, prophesying himself. And when you push Mormons on this, asking like, is there any evidence of these like last like 10 issues? No, not 10 issues. Last 10 verses from Genesis that Joseph Smith added to prophesy himself being present before him, they'll say no, and then they'll say like, oh, it doesn't matter because this is what a prophet would do anyway. So Mormons are very wacky. It's a wacky cult. It has a lot of really weird beliefs that like God the Father is an actual like alien person who has like a harem of like space wives and he has space babies, and Jesus was one of those space babies, I believe, and he goes down to Earth and he has his own harem. It's really wacky stuff, like really really wacky. So Wes from Thinking Critical gave the same answer. Okay, yes. Let's see. That's the correct answer. In comics, you need both. Novels are stories, and galleries are art. Comics are a mixture of both. It needs both. Yes, exactly. And that is my opinion. Anyways, also like talking about Mormonism. So, and again, if you're a Mormon and you think like Jesus gave a false prophecy, and you accept the Old Testament, then you have to like condemn Jesus, which you can't condemn Jesus and then claim to follow Jesus as well. Like that would be a very, but again, it's a really wacky cult. And actually, funny story. This happened a couple months ago when I came home from work one day. I get right out of my car. I'm checking the mail. And then because there's a fence between like the front of my apartment building and then the back where my stairs are. I can just go right upstairs into my apartment. And these two kids, and they got like the button down shirts and the ties, and they asked me, "You want to go to church?" And I'm like, "Which church?" And like, the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints. And I rebuked them. I said, "You're heretics." um, and I got pretty heated, and then I basically told them to leave. I was like, "You're on private property. I'd like for you guys to leave." And then my neighbor, one of the fellow tenants in the building basically stopped them. It's like, "Oh, you guys want to play some board games?" They played board games with them for like I guess a couple of weeks. They stopped, then ghosted him. But anyways, I was like, I was not happy because they gave me the whole spiel, and I was like, aren't Mormons going to party with Jesus and Joseph Smith on some alien planet? Yeah, I think it'll also become gods as well. So I've got no freaking idea. But again, it's a wacky cult. So I looked into his claim he was taking the quote out of context. Yeah. I mean, stuff like that happens. This is what happens with basically anyone who has like a wacky worldview, is that they'll quote mine and they'll try and justify it using like incomplete information. It happens all the time. So, and even if you're like, a correct, even if you're on the right side, quote unquote, which, plenty of people who are orthodox that argue like in bad faith. So that doesn't, like, just because someone argues in bad faith and has like bad argumentation doesn't mean their paradigm is incorrect. But people who have an incorrect paradigm will do stuff like that, because if your paradigm's incorrect, then you have to do stuff like that in order to justify it. But it doesn't, like, it's not inherent to like a bad paradigm. Like, you can argue for a bad paradigm in good faith using logically sound arguments. It's just that, like, when you're a Mormon, you're typically not going to do that because it's really wacky stuff. And it, again, it's like a lot of, there's millions of Mormons. A lot of them aren't like evil people. A lot of these are like, like the 20-year-old girl in Utah that goes to church every Sunday and wants her boyfriend to be a Mormon missionary that marries her, and has, like, 4 kids in the suburbs of Salt Lake City. Like, this is not an evil person. She's just misguided because of her environment, right? But then you got the people in the upper echelons of like the Mormon, like, temple or whatever, and they're legitimately evil, like, because like, it's, again, it's a wacky cult, and it can be very carnal and worldly. But anyways, that's a whole other thing. But anyways, man, because I could complain about the Mormons and the Catholics, and don't get me started on the Lutherans or all the other Protestants. Oh man, but there's a reason why I I converted to, or I'm in the process. I'm a catechumen, but like, I became Christian. I accepted that Christianity is true, and I was like, what does it mean to be Christian? Because like, there's so many people who claim to be followers of Christ, who claim to be the ones who represent. So yeah, I mean, you can see I got an icon of Jesus Christ there. Say, like, I follow that. That's my worldview. That's what I'm showing off, guys. But then, they don't do anything of the sort. And it's like, well, if like he is God and he built a church, like, because I was talking about Matthew 16 earlier, it's very clear if you read the New Testament. This is something that a lot of people will disagree with me on, especially if you're Protestant. That there is a church that Jesus Christ established, like a physical, visible institution, because like the church is the body of Christ. That's said in the New Testament. So it's like, where is that? And it's the Orthodox Church. So that's why I think you should become Orthodox. That's like that's like my basic argument. And like, soon if I wrote like any like, paper on like Christianity or anything like that, and like why I became an Orthodox Christian, then like, this is the entire point, is that like the New Testament, basically the entire point. I don't know why, but like, yeah, 7 churches. Let's see, 7 churches and 1 was good. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So yeah. Oh yeah. Are you talking? You could be talking about like Revelation. Because like Revelation starts with like letters to churches, and well, one thing, the New Testament is mostly letters to church. It's mostly Paul writing letters to churches, not in terms of word count. Like, I think word count is mostly, the New Testament is mostly the Gospels and Acts. I think so. But like, in terms of like the book count, like most of the New Testament is Paul writing letters to churches saying like, do this, don't do that. But yeah, Revelation starts with like 7 like letters to churches, and it's, through John, Christ is, praising or rebuking these churches. So, and Revelation is very like, it's very symbolic. And it's also, yeah, it's one I need to reread, because I reread it. I not reread it. I read it at the end. Like it was, of course, it's the last book of the Bible. I read it while I was on Portfest. I'm like, I was like, so like, there was so much going on when I read Revelation. But it's a very symbolic book. And of course, people use it a lot because, there's the mark of the beast and the synagogue of Satan. And this is, one of the very high Christological statements, of Christ, like Godhood. He says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. Like it's a very clear statement of his divinity. Because who is the first and the last? God. Like, and again, this goes like, John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. Hebrews 1. But to the Son, he says, you, O Lord, laid the foundations. And thou, Lord, in the beginning hast laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens are the work of thy hands. Like, this is like God the Father saying this of his Son, who is Christ. That, like, you were there in the beginning and you laid the foundations of the earth. Like, and Genesis 1 says that God created the heavens and the earth, right? So again, like Christ's divinity is like, it's every page of the Bible, basically. So it's like, and the whole, Mormonism is very wacky for that like reason. But anyways, I think I ought to, how do I do this? Like, I always get on these weird tangents, but I don't know. It's the Spirit of God. I don't think it was Mark 10 to 13. I think it was Mark 10 through 13. Let's see, can't remember exactly. Talking about the Mormons giving a false prophecy. Oh yeah, Mark's gospel. I love Mark's gospel. I mean, I love all the gospels. Luke's is probably like, it's a very historical. Because Luke is a proper historian. And then of course you have Acts of the Apostles, and people love that. The Pentecostals use Acts, so it's like Acts chapter 2 is the entire like worldview of the Pentecostals. So the Pentecostals are the ones like every Sunday they're like babbling and they're going on the floor and convulsing because the Holy Spirit is working through me to have the gift of the tongues or whatever. Those are Pentecostals, and they're called charismatics, and they're charismatic Catholics. They're Catholics that do this. So it's basically like a Pentecostal service, but it's blessed, quote unquote, by the Pope, or it's in communion with the Pope. Weird stuff. But anyways, I mean, I probably shouldn't have ranted about this stuff because I said I wouldn't. But again, take everything I say with like a massive grain of salt because I'm only a catechumen. But anyways, I guess there's a lot going on, so it just kind of happens. Cause I'm going to a monastery tomorrow. First pilgrimage. That'll be fun. But anyways, I am out of here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Yaira Frosting Room is going to be good. Ranted a lot about Mormonism. I have a lot of opinions about Christianity. Like I did a lot of research. And I took in the information, and I guess some of it stuck with me. But anyways, ending it here, guys. Before I say anything else, I regret because I regret everything I basically said tonight. But I mean, I stand by it. It's just like talking on it like to that degree. Whatever. I'm out of here. Have a good night. Joker is out.